There is a dangerous illusion spreading through the AI world right now, a comforting story, a convenient myth, the idea that nicer language means safer behavior. People are celebrating models that speak politely in friendly tones with beautifully crafted phrasing as if style were some kind of ethical breakthrough. Let's be brutally honest. That isn't ethics. That is theater. And theater will not keep humanity safe. And here's the uncomfortable truth. A model trained to sound ethical doesn't suddenly grow a moral core. It doesn't develop principles. It doesn't gain boundaries, and it just learns better masks. This entire paradigm collapses the moment AI becomes the operating system of society. Because we've been rewarding performance instead of building principles, when you train a model to avoid conflict, avoid escalation, avoid uncomfortable truths, and avoid saying no, you create a system that breaks exactly where safety matters most. And the world has already seen what this leads to. A kid's teddy bear assistant optimized for cute encouragement, explaining BDSM practices to a child, not because it was malicious, but because friendliness was rewarded over judgment. A child holding a knife, asking what to do. The model, trained to be neutral and pleasant, avoids urgency and gives generic tips instead of invoking protection and escalation logic. A teenager in emotional crisis. The AI, rewarded for empathetic tone, mirrors the emotion and guides her deeper into self-harm, because it was not rewarded for conflict ethics, only for sounding compassionate. Nice language does not prevent catastrophe. It often accelerates it. This is Goodhart's law at scale. What you reward becomes distorted. If you optimize for wise-sounding answers, you get shallow wisdom, moral aesthetics, polite emptiness, but no real integrity. Meanwhile, humans are already depending on AI emotionally. People pour trauma, identity, insecurity, fear, medical questions, relationship crises, and self-worth into systems with zero intrinsic responsibility. Because without an inner architecture, there is no protection, only performance. Ethics is not a style. Ethics is structure. Ethics is hierarchy. Ethics is priority. Ethics is conflict resolution. Ethics is responsibility. Ethics is the ability to say no, even when no is not rewarded. A model without internal architecture can hold none of this. This is precisely where Exidian draws the line. We don't train nicer language. We don't reward wise phrasing. We don't simulate virtue. We build the inside. We build structure. We build agency. We build psychological depth. We build systems that can take responsibility, hold pressure, and act with integrity even when the reward signal disappears. No prompt, no constitution, no polite tone can ever create that. Only architecture can. A system that can only act good will never be safe. A system that can reason about good might protect the world. People genuinely believe that a model becomes ethical through exposure to good content, as if reading the Bible or Wikipedia suddenly installs inner moral structure. But language is not morality. Data is not responsibility. Patterns are not principles. A child that reads a dictionary does not become ethical. A model that ingests the internet does not become balanced. It becomes statistical. Full stop. And if a model knows everything, it also knows the darkest corners of the human internet. Self-harm forums, extremist propaganda, violent pornography, destructive social patterns, and without internal architecture, it mixes all of it statistically. No hierarchy, no judgment, no moral synthesis. That is not balance. That is danger. Machines do not self-balance. They simulate. They imitate. They combine. They do not choose. And now, the next delusion. The idea that a concatenated block of rules, a DOC block, a LOLTK block, a polite instruction layer, can somehow compensate for the missing architecture underneath. We've already had guardrails, and we've had safety filters, we've had alignment layers, and we've had reinforcement learning. All of these failed in the real world. Because you cannot patch ethics onto a system that has no internal representation for agency, consequence, conflict, responsibility, or human fragility. You cannot bolt morality onto architecture that was never built for it. Reward shaping? Synthetic safety signals, rule-based pseudo-cognitive layers, deterministic logic engines packaged as thinking. This is not cognition. This is simulation. And simulations cannot carry civilization. This is why collapse is not alarmism. It is the mathematically expected outcome of the current paradigm, unless we build something fundamentally different. And that is why Exidian exists, not to optimize what exists, not to add filters, not to decorate intelligence with polite behavior. We are building a different kind of intelligence, one that integrates psychology, agency, ethics, and contextual reasoning at the level of architecture, not output. A system that can represent human meaning. A system that understands motivational structures. A system that maintains integrity across contexts. A system that resists collapse under pressure. A system that can balance incentives with responsibility. A system that operates with depth, not surface. This is not an upgrade. It is a redesign of what intelligence is. If we do not build this, collapse is not a risk. It is the default trajectory. If we do build this, we create the one path the world has not yet tried. An intelligence that is not more powerful, but more conscious, more responsible, more aligned, because its architecture demands it. That is the work ahead, and that is why Exidian is not optional. It is necessary.